Topping today's news, we have more details on the airplane emergency crash landing in waters between New Providence and Andros on Thursday. Mega investments in tourism continue to provide jobs and career opportunities for Bahamians, and Chairman of the Coalition of Independents calling out the F&M and the PLP on crime. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders, and this is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. The latest from the authorities in the unfortunate airplane emergency crash landing on Thursday in waters between New Providence and Andros. Reports are that the twin prop engine Aztec 6-seater carrying 6 people was forced to land in waters approximately 8 miles off the western tip of New Providence when one of the engines failed shortly before 3 p.m. JCN was able to speak with one of the survivors, who said that the pilot remained calm and did an excellent job with the emergency landing and with helping the passengers exit the downed airplane and wait for rescue. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force and U.S. Coast Guard were quick to respond to the location. Unfortunately, the Public Hospitals Authority later notified the media that 2 of the passengers had died despite being able to exit the airplane. The victims, 87-year-old Alan Russell of Low Sound, Andros, and Emma McQueen, who was reportedly traveling to Andros for her mother's funeral this weekend. Additional information from the Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority suggested that the flight left New Providence for Andros, but for unknown reasons was unable to land at North Andros and turned around to head back to the capital when the engine failure occurred. Investigations into the mishap is ongoing, with more details expected in the coming days after the investigators have had a chance to speak with the pilot and radar personnel. Heartfelt condolences and prayers have been pouring in for the families of both victims. Earlier this week, members of the Bahamas Petroleum Dealers Association, who say they are terribly disappointed with the government has yet to address their concerns regarding their request for a margin increase on gas and diesel to offset rising operation costs. They say they will protest outside the House of Assembly when members return on Wednesday. There are also unconfirmed reports that gas stations could close their doors and shut their pumps at any given time this weekend. Today, when Prime Minister Philip Davis was asked if he had any concerns about the looming gas station closures, he said he has none. On Thursday, at the office of the Prime Minister, Press Secretary Keishla Adderley said discussions are still ongoing with the hopes of a resolution soon. Again, gas station owners who receive 54 cents per gallon are looking for a 25-cent increase, which would take that to 79 cents per gallon. The government earns $1.16 per gallon in taxes plus 10% value-added tax. The Davis administration, through the Bahamas Investments Authority, recently signed heads of agreements for a number of major projects across the country. On Thursday, while at the office of the Prime Minister, Felicia Woodside, Director of Investments, assures the public that these investments will provide much-needed and protected jobs and career opportunities for Bahamians.
Well, there are a number of different job opportunities that will be available in the operational phase of different developments. Of course, tourism continues to be the main industry that we see inflow of foreign direct investments. So most of those jobs would be in the tourism-related sectors at various levels. We try to manage the operational jobs and maximize on the opportunities that are available for Bahamians through what we call a labor and immigration protocol. What that does is the Bahamas Investment Authority would work with developers to understand in their minds what are the market needs and what they think are not jobs or not that do not have the local capacity, and we work with the Ministry of Labor to fine-tune that listing to make sure that Bahamians have more operational jobs.
Director Woods said the investments will also result in more economic activity in the industrial, aviation, manufacturing, and maritime sectors. Meanwhile, according to the Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper, two major investments totaling more than $1 billion they're tapped for the Bahamas as the government gets ready to execute a heads of agreement by the end of this month. Mr. Cooper broke the news on Thursday as he addressed a Bahamas Business and Investment Forum in Washington, D.C. The investments are in major touristic developments slated for Paradise Island and Cable Beach. The forum was organized by the Bahamas Embassy in Washington, D.C. under the leadership of the Bahamas Ambassador Wendell Jones. Mr. Cooper also told the investors at that forum that in the last 3 years, the Davis administration has attracted more than $10 billion in new foreign direct investments. And finally, in this segment, while the governing PLP has said crime is not a political issue but a community issue, F&M Deputy Leader Shannon Cartwright, the Member of Parliament for St. Barnabas, where several murders have happened this year, has continued to pressure the government to do more to reduce the high levels of crime that is plaguing the country. Well, Chairman of the Coalition of Independents, Charlotte Green, is calling out both parties for pointing the finger at each other instead of finding real solutions.
It is truly astonishing that in the midst of relentless crime spree with families torn apart by violence, both the sitting Minister of National Security, Wayne Munroe, and the F&M Shadow Minister for National Security, Shannon Dawn Cartwright, have once again turned to the same tired tactic: bickering. They are more focused on defending their own reputations than delivering actual solutions to the Bahamian people. Wayne Munroe, who presides over the most alarming surge of crime in recent history, has the audacity to tell the opposition to stop talking foolishness. Is it foolishness to demand a safer Bahamas? Is it foolishness to ask for policies that curb the bloodshed shed in our streets? What is foolish is sitting in power and offering nothing but excuses, while families continue to live in fear. On the other side, Shannon Dawn Cartwright's criticism ring hollow when his own party failed to lay the groundwork for sustainable crime solutions during their.
Green said the F&M left behind a system ill-equipped to handle the growing threats to the nation's national security. She said the time for talking and political games are over.
It's time to break free from this cycle of incompetence. The Bahamian people are not blind, nor will we continue to be deceived by this endless back and forth. Our national security is non-negotiable. We are Bahamians first and foremost, and we will fight for a future where our children can walk the streets without fear. No thanks to either of these so-called leaders. My fellow Bahamians, it is time that we stand in the gap, and it's time that we hold both political parties, the PLP and the F&M, accountable.
In their efforts to combat crime, the Davis administration has released an extensive 5-point crime plan and new anti-gang legislation. The plan is based on 5 pillars, including prevention, policing, prosecution, punishment, and rehabilitation. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break and we'll be right back after these commercials.